back and enjoy Eurosport's live coverage of the latest race in the IndyCar World Series from New Hampshire.
IndyCar is brought to you on Eurosport by Firestone and Valvoline.
And it's especially good for Tasman. I think the team is doing a great job. This is our first year for Firestone, first year for myself, so it's great.
Andre Ribeiro, who finds himself on pole position for today's IndyCar race in New Hampshire. Powered by Honda, of course, Ribeiro, and on Firestone tyres. Good evening, welcome to another fantastic night of motor racing on Eurosport. This has been a cracker of a series. We've got 3 races to go, and of course, what we all want to know tonight is, can young Jacques Villeneuve win this year's IndyCar Championship? Well, alongside Andre Ribeiro on the front row this evening is Teo Fabi. And these pictures you're watching are from qualifying. This is Adrian Fernandez in Friday qualifying, a big shunt for the Mexican driver, but he was perfectly okay after that. The car wasn't, but he was, and he is back in the race. These are pictures, of course, from the last one at Mid-Ohio. That was Bobby Rahal and Jacques Villeneuve colliding, a controversial incident, and Rahal decided that he was going to walk out onto the circuit and give Jacques the finger. Well, it is his local track. He was pretty fired up, and there's another man who was fired up afterwards, Michael Andretti. So nearly won it, but the victory went surprisingly to Al Unser in the Penske. And those are the pictures of the finish last weekend. I remind you, this is not happening in New Hampshire. This is happening in Mid-Ohio. There's the championship position, and you can see that Jacques Villeneuve has a commanding lead over Bobby Rahal. But as we've said many times before, never discount Bobby Rahal. He's an extremely consistent driver. He's always scoring points. He had a very bad weekend after that collision with Villeneuve in Mid-Ohio. But Bobby Rahal is one of the 3 people, he, Robbie Gordon and Michael Andretti, who could, I repeat, could just beat Villeneuve for the championship. Now we're looking back at 1993, moving along fast here. That was Nigel Mansell. Remember him? Of course you do. Nigel Mansell winning in 1993 in New Hampshire. I wonder if he's watching tonight. He's certainly got some time on his hands. Now we go back to 94. There was a big shunt at the beginning of last year's race. If you remember, Penske were on the front row, and Penske finished 1, 2, 3. My goodness, what a difference a year makes in motor racing. Because it's been a terrible year for Penske so far, but they were 1, 2, 3 here on this 1-mile oval, this bull ring type of circuit in New Hampshire. A thrilling place to watch motor racing. And that was a tremendous result for the Penske team. Who will it be this weekend? Well, your guess is as good as mine, but we'll certainly be watching Villeneuve, Rahal, Andretti and Robbie Gordon. We'll be back after this first break.
Eurosport Live.
You rejoin us live from New Hampshire just as the cars go out onto the parade laps, and the first thing to tell you is, if you thought it was hot where you are, it is hotter in New Hampshire. We've had track temperatures of 110 and touching 112 degrees in qualifying, and that, you don't need me to tell you, is extremely tricky if you're running a racing car on an oval. Now we look at some pictures of the drivers relaxing before this race at Loudon on the oval, Christian Fittipaldi, and this is what the drivers get up to in their free time.
Oh, I like cycling, I like to watch soccer, tennis, track and field. I like nearly every sport except baseball.
This is Robbie Gordon, a man who still has a small chance of this year's championship, and this is how Robbie Gordon relaxes. Well, you might have guessed it, Robbie Gordon, from
like jet ski,
watching him on the track,
bike.
You can tell that he'd like to do that sort of thing in his free time.
Ski, tennis, golf. You know, we practice a lot of other sports.
Adrian Fernandez, the Mexican driver. And now identify this one underwater. This is the Gilles de Ferran, of course, the Brazilian, a rookie this year in IndyCar.
The jet skiing, that's what I like the most.
Emerson Fittipaldi, no problem recognizing him. A bit of jet skiing for Emerson. He lives down in Florida, of course. He lives down in Key Biscayne, has a wonderful property down there. Doesn't live in Brazil anymore, or Monte Carlo, like so many of the others do. He prefers to stay in Florida, and he relaxes by jet skiing. And it is very good fun indeed. So we've got the parade laps happening now here in New Hampshire. As I said, it's extremely hot there. Track temperatures of 110, 112 degrees. This is the grid now. Andre Ribeiro on pole position in the Honda-powered car with the Firestone tyres. Teo Fabi alongside him. Behind them, Scott Pruitt and Robbie Gordon on row 2. Scott Pruitt, another Firestone runner. On the third row, it's Christian Fittipaldi and Jimmy Vasser. Christian Fittipaldi, a rookie this year, in other words, his first year of IndyCar racing. Jimmy Vasser, a very impressive driver, tremendous in Formula Atlantic, very good in IndyCar this year. A man to watch, Jimmy Vasser. Behind them, it's Maurizio Gugelmin and Gilles de Ferran, two Brazilians alongside each other, extremely popular in IndyCar, and behind them is Michael Andretti and Adrian Fernandez, going very well indeed this year, the Mexican. Michael's had a very up and down year. You will know if you followed the IndyCar Championship. Behind them, it's Brian Herter and Juan Manuel Fangio. Fangio, very impressive in just 2 IndyCar races this year. Then it's Bozell and Tracy. Paul Tracy well down this weekend, and also well down, 15th place on the grid is Jacques Villeneuve, and alongside him, Emerson Fittipaldi. Then it's Ansa and Chiva, Al Ansa Jr. in the second of the Penskes, and Eddie Chiva, Alessandro Zampedri, and Bobby Rahal, then Marco Greco and Carlos Guerrero. Then Buddy Lazier and Stefan Johansson, and on the last row, Salazar and Matsushita. Salazar and Matsushita bringing up the rear. Now, the cars warming up their tyres as they do the last of these parade laps. As you can see, it's a 200-mile race, a 1-mile oval. This is a real state-of-the-art oval, this at Loudon in New Hampshire. An extremely exciting track. There'll be a lot of traffic. And it's the guys who can get through the traffic and conserve their tyres and conserve their fuel who will be there at the end. One more parade lap to go. One more lap to go, and then the start. And most of the good overtaking is into turn 1 here at Loudon. Turn 1 is the place where you'll see most of the overtaking, but there will be a lot of traffic. There'll be a lot of bunching up, and tactics will be absolutely vital as Andre Ribeiro leads them round now in the Reynard Honda as we go over live to Paul Page and Derek Daly for the start.
Was the guy involved last year as well. Car badly damaged on the left side.
This is Adrian's second big crash of the weekend here. On Friday, he was the second fastest car in practice, and he had a very, very big crash coming off turn 4. So we mentioned it not 15 seconds earlier. Cold tires on the first lap of these races. These cars are very difficult to handle.
Could actually listen as the safety crew asks, is he all right? Apparently a nod to the affirmative.
When you hit these concrete walls this hard, sometimes the driver gets dazed. He is quite happy to sit there. He's quite happy to sit there and wait for these experienced safety crews to get to him.
Well, appears he's all right as he starts to climb out of the car. There's Rick Gallis, the car owner, and the remainder of the crew as they take a look to see what happened. Adrian's okay and walks away. Derek, here's the way it's set up.
Coming off turn 2, you can see he loses it by himself. And once you get away, once the car gets away from you here, it's a one-way ticket to the hard, unforgiving concrete wall. And although that car may not look destroyed, it is very, very heavily damaged. You see him down on the inside, bottom of the picture. We can take a look from our in-car camera. We've been over his shoulder all weekend here. Here's turn 1. He makes it around turn 1, gets wide. The back gets away from him all by himself. And when that happens, these concrete walls do an awful lot of damage to these Indy cars.
Well, about 7 very lucky drivers right behind him. Look right in the middle of the frame there as he loses the back end and takes a very hard hit with the wall. His second of the weekend. And this morning warm-up, that's where Bassell got into the wall as well. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Rick Gallis, has been a very, very difficult weekend, and it really puts a damper on what had been a terrific second half of the season for this team.
Yeah, Gary, we're just unfortunate things like this happen. You know, Adrian did a great job all weekend, even though he had that problem. The car was fast, and we felt like we had a good race going today, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And you know, one thing, when we hit the fence, we hit it together, and when we win together. So this isn't an Adrian's fault or the team's fault or anything. It's just something that happened. We just have to live with it.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
All right, so a lot of debris to clean up on the track right now, and that gives us opportunity to take a break as well, catch our breath, as the New England 200 is yellow right after turn number 2.
Well, a disappointing start to the IndyCar race here at Loudon in New Hampshire. On lap 1, an accident for Adrian Fernandez, his second accident of the weekend. He had a big one on Friday, and now he's had another one in turn 2, coming out of turn 2. And this is going to take some time to clear up. We're running under yellow flags. Quite obviously, that is the wreck of Fernandez's car, as you can see from the overhead shot. Extremely lucky that there weren't many other cars involved. How everybody immediately behind him avoided him, I do not know. But we only have one car damaged, and that is the car there of Adrian Fernandez. Just to remind you, it was Teo Fabi who led away at the green flag as we drive now with Robbie Gordon. And by the way, we're in radio contact with Robbie Gordon tonight. During the whole of this race, we'll have a pits to car and car to pits radio live from this number 5 Robbie Gordon car, and he is a title contender, just about. So it's Teo Fabi who leads at the moment from with Andre Ribeiro running in 3rd place. Then it's Scott Pruitt, then it's Jimmy Vasser, and then it's Christian Fittipaldi. That's the top 6 at the moment, as we go back now to Paul Page and Derek Daly at Loudon in New Hampshire, as the cars are still running under the yellow flag.
I'm sure, because there's a lot of oil on the ground, so when he exits the pits during the pit stop, you need to be careful.
So the conversation with Robbie Gordon as you ride on board. We're at the New England 200 in Loudon, New Hampshire. Teo Fabi jumped the start, then got a good jump on Ribeiro, as did Robbie Gordon. But what about Robbie Gordon? We've watched him all season long. He's young, brash, and he hates it.
New England 200, young, brash Robbie Gordon, you heard about. He's racing the off-road series. He loves these ovals. Had a great run at Nazareth, of course, earlier this year, and also at Milwaukee, and is actually my pick for the weekend here, because he needs a win to stay in a chance for the championship, and he needs Villeneuve to have a DNF. Villeneuve, of course, he started back in the 15th position on the inside of row 8. That's his worst ever starting position. And as we know, Jacques Villeneuve going to Formula 1 in 1996. Teo Fabi's had his run in Formula 1 in the past, raced in the IndyCar in 1983, and was just a few points away from the championship when he did that. He went back to the World Sports Cars, came back to IndyCar, raced for Porsche, gave them a victory at Mid-Ohio, and is now teamed up with Jerry Forsyth once again, and has had some great runs recently, and particularly some good qualifying runs, but some bad luck in the races. Fabi out in front right now. We should update you, Stefan Johansson has made an early pit stop, as have Hiro Matsushita and also Carlos Guerrero. Stefan Johansson having a rotten weekend this weekend. He spun all on his own in the straightaway on Friday, and this morning in the warm-up they lost a drive belt, so they had to change the motor. So a tough weekend for Johansson. Under yellow at the moment, it's Fabi, Gordon and Ribeiro, the top 3. We'll have more for you in just a moment from Loudon, New Hampshire.
Under yellow flags here with Teo Fabi leading at the end of 6 laps now under yellow flags. Then it's Robbie Gordon and Andre Ribeiro, and of course Robbie Gordon really needs a victory this weekend if he's going to stay anywhere near the top of this championship. Jacques Villeneuve, just to remind you, started down in 15th position as Eliseo Salazar brings the car into the pits for a very, very early stop. We don't know what this one is for. Stefan Johansson has been in as well. Well, Salazar's having a tyre change. They've only done now 6 or 7 laps, and almost all of those under yellow flag, but maybe he's picked up some debris. There will be some debris on the track after that accident to Adrian Fernandez. He may have picked something up in a tyre. There's the confirmation after now. It is 6 laps now. Fabi, Gordon, Ribeiro, Pruitt, Vassar and Christian Fittipaldi. A tremendous start from Teo Fabi. Of course, he's got an awful lot of experience on these ovals. And the man alongside him, Andre Ribeiro, this is his first year in the championship. So Teo Fabi got the jump on Andre Ribeiro at the start. And it's a very, very hot day down there. It's going to be down to tactics in the end. It's a long, long race, 200 laps. The lap in about 22, 23 seconds. Pole position was a 21. An average speed of over 177 miles an hour. But down in the race, they'll be, of course, quite a bit slower than that. But they've got to go around here 200 times. And these turns are quite tight. There'll be plenty of excitement yet to come, and it could be anybody's race. The top 6 at this time means virtually nothing. That's Juan Manuel Fangio in Danny Sullivan's car. You'll remember a couple of races ago, Danny Sullivan had a big shunt and is out for the rest of the season. But Fangio's done a very, very good job, qualifying well up today, well up last weekend, and he's created a lot of new interest in this IndyCar series. And it's contract time, of course, with just 3 races to go in this series. Contract time, and everybody will be trying extra hard to do that deal for next season. They're all trying to get into the best cars, the best drives, and who's going to take Jacques Villeneuve's seat at Team Green? Well, these and other questions will be answered over the next few weeks. But now, right here in New Hampshire, they're beginning to bunch up now behind the pace car. The top 3 there, that's Teo Fabi, Robbie Gordon and Andre Ribeiro. They look as though they've pretty much cleared up the mess from the Fernandez accident. And it'll be very, very, very interesting to see what develops over the next 1 3/4 hours. The heat will play its part, there's no doubt about that. The fittest man will win. There's Jacques Villeneuve, qualified 15th in the distinctive blue and white players car with the number 27 on it, going to the Williams team next season, and determined, just as determined as ever he will be to do 3 good races before he comes over to Europe to begin a very intensive, or I imagine what will be a very intensive testing program with the Williams team. A lot of circuits to learn, and a lot to learn about Formula One. Very quick in testing at Silverstone, but that doesn't necessarily give us a guide to how quick he'll be in the races. But most people seem pretty convinced that Jacques Villeneuve will be highly competitive. And it's certainly an intriguing lineup, that Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve at Williams for next season. This is Michael Andretti in the Newman-Haas Lola. They've given up using the new Series 2 Ford engine, by the way, at Newman-Haas Lola. They've gone back to the older Ford engine to try and get some more reliability. Michael Andretti's had a terrible year, up and down. One day he wins, the next day he crashes, the next day the engine blows up. Not a satisfactory year at Newman-Haas. But for news of what's going on in New Hampshire, back to Paul Page.
And we should see a green flag the next time they come by. Robbie Gordon obviously moved early to get into this 3rd position and is charging for the front. And that's really going to be important in the points fight, because the further up he can get, the better off he's going to be, especially if Jacques Villeneuve can stay back. And just in that one move, Gordon actually, for the moment, moved into 2nd place in the points battle. It'll be one more lap now until the green flag, as we take a look at the running order, of course, under yellow at the conclusion of lap 8.
And don't take your eyes off Robbie Gordon, because nobody likes to run on the outside line, on that bravery line, as much as Robbie Gordon. And he would try and pull one over Teo Fabi, knowing that Ribeiro probably will not make a challenge for that lead position or that 2nd position.
Also, though, to take nothing away from Jacques Villeneuve, he moved up 2 positions on the start ahead of Raul Boisel and Emerson Fittipaldi. Pace comes back up. Teo Fabi brings him to the green. Veteran guy on the pole, veteran racer in the Indy cars. And we're back green once again. There's Robbie, comes up as close as he can on the start. Now close
begin to encounter traffic. And on a 1 mile oval, it doesn't take long for the leading cars to get into traffic. And then you see the aggressive moves and the experienced people begin to come up towards the front.
Christian Fittipaldi is lined up just behind this man, Michael Andretti. Gary Gerald, you've been watching their team.
Checking with the crew for Christian Fittipaldi, making sure that there wasn't something really ill handling. They say, no, it's just a case of a rookie driver here in this very busy mile oval, settling in, getting into a race rhythm. Also, a radio report that we picked up, heavy bottoming from one of the observers reported on the #1 car. That's Al Unser Jr. Remember the last time we had reports of heavy bottoming in Portland and what transpired?
Well, it's still a matter of fact. It's an appeal. And by the way, for those of you that may wonder, it is in the appeal process now. There'll be 3 judges appointed to hear that issue over the run at Portland that eventually got Jimmy Vasser the win awarded to him. But our calculation of the points, where we suggested at starting that Jack Villeneuve, as we watch him here, has to leave this track 45 points ahead of everybody else in order to be the champion here. That does take into account that hearing going either way.
Good pictures of Jacques here. He had hoped to get into the top 10 as soon as possible. Tony Sekeli, his engineer, last night made a lot of changes on this car. Villeneuve believes that on full tanks, which he ran this morning, full every time he ran, he thought he was equal to Robbie Gordon. So now he chases Brian Herta, who has actually been in his own bit of a struggle this weekend. Not quite the match of Jimmy Vasser, except for one session on Saturday.
And Jack, as we look back from Brian Herta's car, sits in a 1-point position. He is 12. Brian Herta is in 11th. Dale Bobby still the leader. Gordon second, and Ribeiro third. Then Scott Pruitt and Jimmy Vasser. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Paul, in regards to Jacques Villeneuve, he is receiving radio communications at the moment from Barry Green, his team owner, not on how close he is to the other competitors, but where the leader is. They're very concerned about keeping the leader in sight, making sure they don't go a lap down.
Of course, there's something that happens so very quick on a 1 mile oval as the front of the field already overhauling the back end of the field, despite the fact that they were so very close in qualifying, a second covering the first 20 positions here.
So Jacques does his bit in the cockpit. Barry Green does his bit on monitoring what happens in the race. What a team this has turned out to be, Paul. I mean, a team makes a driver and a driver makes a team. But they are an example of a team who have spent their budget very wisely and had so much success on basically having harmony and the right people in the right place.
One man who's struggled throughout this weekend has been Stefan Johansson. Gary Gerald, those struggles continue?
Apparently that's the case, Paul. We understand that we know that they had to make a motor change after the warm-up session this morning. They only got a couple of laps in, and apparently they developed some kind of an oil leak. We anticipate that Tony Bettenhausen is going to bring him in. They may just park it for the day.
Jack going into turn 3 tries to make the inside move on Brian Herta, but fails to make the pass. The question would be, where does Jack have to play this whole thing? He's got 3 races, counting this one, left. Go for broke here or just take it easy?
Absolutely not. But here he's a run on Brian Herta right here. Can he duck down the inside of turn 3? Yes, he does. Under braking makes it stick. Now he's only 1 place away from that top 10 that he wanted to be in before his first pit stop.
But I think some indication that he is being very careful. Let's go back up to the front of the field. Teo Fabi, number 33, as we watch Robbie Gordon and Andre Ribeiro. This is a battle for second place right behind the leader. Ribeiro now beginning to get up a full head of steam, and he moves inside of Gordon. So Ribeiro to second place, but look at Gordon, he comes right back.
As the race settles down here, 25 laps gone, Ribeiro begins to find his feet. He ran down Robbie Gordon, and here's Scott Pruitt down the inside of Gordon.
Pruitt in 4th place moves into the battle. Tries to get underneath Gordon. Look to the left there, that's Ribeiro just ahead.
That was Derek Walker saying, watch Pruitt. Oh, he goes outside him and pulls it off.
Ribeiro gets caught up with slower traffic. Ribeiro got caught up with Salazar and had to drop back in behind Robbie. But look at Scott Pruitt as he works way high on the outside. And Ribeiro comes to the inside again, and he's got him.
Now, this is what's so great about the Magic Mile here in New Hampshire. As soon as you get into traffic, you have to begin to anticipate so
Well, motor racing doesn't come much better than this, does it? Absolutely fantastic battle right through the top six. It's Teo Fabi still leading, but only just from Andre Ribeiro, and a tremendous battle going on between Robbie Gordon and Scott Pruitt. Motor racing at its absolute closest, and can you imagine talking to the pits at the same time as doing that? 190 miles an hour around this 1 mile oval, and talking to your pit crew at the same time. Robbie Gordon now dropping back a bit from Scott Pruitt. But Fabi holding on just in the lead from Ribeiro. And here they are. That's the leader in the bottom of the picture in the red and white Cora, or it was. Jacques Villeneuve, by the way, is now in 11th position after Brian Herter has dropped right back with a problem. And Christian Fittipaldi going down the inside of Robbie Gordon. Robbie Gordon dropping back. We don't know what the problem is. He did tell his pit crew that the car was loose in the middle of the corner, which is certainly something you wouldn't want on this kind of 1 mile oval. So a disappointment now after about 25 laps gone for 30 laps gone for Robbie Gordon. But Teo Fabi holding on in the lead from Andre Ribeiro in the Honda powered car. Then it's Scott Pruitt, then it's Jimmy Vasser. Bobby Rahal down in 17th position. And Al Unser in 16th position. So disappointing for the championship contender Bobby Rahal, as we go back now to Paul Page and Derek Daly.
Problem for Brian Herta. Paul Tracy, however, looks like a guy on the move, and he is really coming up through traffic. Now, with that yellow that we had in the first lap incident, I think we will not see pit stops if we stay green until the early 70 lap mark, maybe 72 to 75.
Paul Tracy has moved up into 7th position just behind his teammate as we watch him here, Michael Andretti. Little explanation of the pit window, the way we referred to it. At starting, we said lap 62 would be the pit window. That's in a perfect situation. A team can also figure the pit window from the finish backwards as well. And we've heard Derek Walker talking about maybe about lap 39 they might pit this car.
And the only reason Derek Walker would call him in earlier, if he loses so much time on the racetrack with a handling problem, he could take him in, try and fix it, and then send him back up. Oh, what's going on here?
3 wide into 1, as here is Michael caught up with a whole gaggle of traffic in front of him as he comes down inside of Jimmy Vasser, picks him off for 4th place.
And that's the use of traffic right there. Now he tries to go inside Pruitt. Look at that!
Pruitt loses it! And Pruitt catches the wall. He loses it just in front of Michael. Little oil fire at the back of the car.
Talk about being right there.
I see you. You all right?
Got hit up pretty good. It's like I got hit from behind or something.
Well, of course, we know different than that, as you saw it right from Michael's onboard camera. Scott Pruitt talking to Jim McGee, his team manager, and the IndyCar safety team right there. Fire has burned itself out at the back of the car, and that eliminates Pruitt from the championship. So now we're seeing some pit stops. Jan Beekes?
Yes, Teo Fabi, our leader, brings it in. He had just called in on the radio saying that he was one of those cars that was going very loose. So they have told him to take the front sway bar and make it full stiff. Now they're going to try and make an adjustment. Oh, they have a problem with the right rear. They have a problem with the gun. Teo Fabi in big trouble here. Is going to lose the lead for sure. They still can't get it tightened. Now Teo Fabi is down, but a long stop for Teo Fabi today.
Andre Ribeiro was rolling, but Michael Andretti, it looks, may have been the first out. Yeah, Michael Andretti got out ahead of everybody. So a round of stops under the second yellow of the day, bringing most of the field in, causing grief for Teo Fabi because of the problem with the air gun, and gives Michael Andretti the lead of the race. Let's go back. Scott Pruitt, they say, is okay. Here's what happened.
Michael tries to go down the inside. Doesn't quite make it. Pruitt's now in the area where Fernandez crashed. All by himself. He loses control. From then on, just like Fernandez.
On Friday.
On Friday, one-way ticket to the concrete wall.
Now, we are aware there's a little bit of a ripple in the pavement right about there.
Here's the move from the in-car with Michael. He gets a good run on turn 2. Passes Vasser, passes Bozell, tries to get by gathered up by Pruitt. So Pruitt, despite thinking he may have got tapped from the back, this was a loose oversteering car. It happened all by himself, and we know that Gordon is complaining about being loose, as is Brian Herta.
So Scott Pruitt, the report is he's okay. You see him walking back with Dr. Terry Tremmel, one of the IndyCar physicians. We're under our second yellow of the day, and we'll be back right after this.
Eurosport Live.
You're watching the new leader of the New England 200, Michael Andretti, in the Newman Haas Lola Ford by dint of some extremely skillful overtaking and also excellent pit work by Newman Haas. Michael Andretti comes out in the lead of the motor race. That is the wreck of Scott Pruitt's car, and that's why we're running under yellow flags for the second time in 40 minutes here at the New England 200, live on Eurosport. 3 races to go in the IndyCar Championship and everything to play for. The championship leader, Jacques Villeneuve, just outside the top 10 at the moment. The race began with an accident from Adrian Fernandez. He's out of the race. Maurizio Gugelmin, has also had a lot of trouble. So has Brian Herta, and so has Robbie Gordon. So another championship contender, Robbie Gordon, back down in 9th place after some trouble with the car. Scott Pruitt is out, as you can see. That's why we're running under yellow flags. He slid into the wall on his own. He was not pushed by Michael Andretti, as we could see from the onboard camera. So Andretti leads. Paul Tracy, his Newman Haas teammate, in 6th position. So 2 Newman Haas Lolas up in the top 6. The Penskes so far are nowhere. Unser was down in 15th position. Bobby Rahal too, still way down, but there's a long way to go, and you can never discount the wily old foxes of IndyCar racing. So we've got Jimmy Vasser in the top 3 now. Jimmy Vasser, someone who's been improving all season long, Jimmy Vasser, and he's running in the top 3 behind Michael Andretti. He started from 6th on the grid, and he's been consistent all afternoon so far, but it's still very hot out there, and in turn 2 the track is obviously either got some sort of slippery stuff on it, or there's a bump in it, but a couple of people caught out in turn 2 as Andretti leads them round behind the pace car. And of course Andretti could really do with this win, because he's still in with the very small chance of the championship. He'd have to win this one and the next one, and for Villeneuve not to score, but anything can happen, as we know so well in motor racing, and especially on an oval. Anything can happen on an oval. Just when it looks as though it's settling down, something occurs, and the leaderboard can be thrown up right upside down. So behind the pace car now, it's Andretti, and Gilles de Ferran is up in the top 6 as well, by the way. There he is in the picture now, with Villeneuve behind him. And Andre Ribeiro is right up there too on the Firestone tyres, and they went so well in the Michigan 500, if you remember. The last oval race we watched, a tremendous win from Scott Pruitt, that on Firestone. So Andre Ribeiro well up there again today, and it could still be anybody's race. That's the news from the pit stops, the first round of pit stops, and Andretti came in 4th and went out first. Brilliant pit work by Newman Haas, and also for Paul Tracy. Look at that, into the pits in 6th position and out in 2nd place. So it's now Andretti from his teammate Tracy after the pit stops. And there's Emerson Fittipaldi. Another disappointing weekend for Emerson. He qualified in 16th position, and he's running way down the field. Al Unser Jr. ahead of Emerson again this weekend. But there are our leaders. Andretti leading Paul Tracy, and in 3rd position Jimmy Vasser. That's the top 3. So we could be in for some very exciting motor racing any moment now, because there is no love lost between Paul Tracy and Michael Andretti, and they are very aggressive drivers, both of them. There will be no quarter given round here. They may drive for the same team, but they both want to win this one. We'll go back now live to the Oval with Paul Page and Derek Daly.
We should be going back to green flag shortly here, and here's some very interesting information. The pit stop summary. There's Michael. He came in 4th, out in 1st. Paul Tracy Tracy in 6th, out in 2nd. The real loser in the whole thing seemed to be Teo Fabi, who went in 1st and came out in 8th. So we'll keep an eye on him in 8th position and see if he's able to move up through the field, because he certainly is fast on the track, but the pits failed him on that one.
And take a bow, everybody in the Newman Haas team who goes over the wall to serve as Michael's car and Paul Tracy, because that was a good example of the driver needing all the help he can get on a 1-mile oval. And when he comes down the pit lane and makes that amount of place improvements, you have to say that the team is working extremely well.
And as an update, the Newman Haas stops both Michael and Paul Tracy. We're going to split them up and watch on boards. Were routine stops for them.
The interesting thing now is we have two of the most aggressive drivers on 1-mile ovals. Michael leading Tracy, who loves to make that outside move, and of course they just got one finger. Next time by, they will get one finger, and it's all action again.
Michael Andretti, Paul Tracy nose to tail. That's the split screen you're looking at. Andretti in front, Tracy in 2nd, then Jimmy Vasser, Ribeiro, Christian Fittipaldi, and Al Unser Jr. up in 6th place, who's coming up through the field. By the way, 2 of the teams at least, Penske Racing and Newman Haas, sent spotters up to the press level to a grandstand normally used up here by NASCAR, for example, to spot. And there was an official decision that they can't view from up there. They can view from grandstand. We've run into that before at Milwaukee and a couple of other places. They were up there. They said, no, but you can move down to a grandstand. And they were concerned, quite concerned about the safety issue. And safety, certainly, we've seen it as a problem on this track. Here we go. We're ready to run back to green. Lap 51. 1/4 of the race already done.
Watch Paul Tracy trying to pull a move. But Ribeiro tries to block Christian Fittipaldi. Ribeiro, I think, having a good race here. Staying on the lead lap, keeping his nose clean and learning a lot.
Fellow Brazilians, Ribeiro, Fittipaldi, battle for 4th. Nothing changes at the front. There comes Teo Fabi past, just ahead of Robbie Gordon. So he's moved around one car, and that's Gordon. Teo, very definitely moving up through this field now.
Bobby did such a great job all season long with this Jerry Forsyth entry. Virtually no damage in testing or in racing for the whole season. Little bit at Portland, but Gordon is in trouble again. Gilles de Ferran goes down the inside.
Whatever they were working on doesn't look like it worked. De Ferran got around him. Now Jacques Villeneuve closes up behind Gordon. Gordon is 9th. Back to the front. Michael Andretti closing on Bobby Rahal.
Michael has a little bit of breathing space because Jimmy Vasser is on the charge and trying to run down
a spotter in turn 2 and a photo location. We were informed by IndyCar officials that they're now escorting him from that location. So I guess he'll be looking for a grandstand ticket as well.
Looking back to Al Unser Jr. Still runs in 6th, and look at the traffic that he has to work with.
And that is for position. Teo Fabi behind him. Christian Fittipaldi just ahead of him. Fabi looks to be the fastest car of this group here.
But you mentioned that Christian can be very tough to pass.
Look at Al Jr. had to look to the outside. Now watch what Fabi does here. Stays down to the inside, has a grandstand view of what might happen. DeFerran's right behind him. Here goes Junior.
Al Unser Jr. moves to the inside of Fittipaldi. Teo Fabi may not be able to get past. No, he can. At the same time, up at the front, Ribeiro is closing on Michael Andretti. Now a second and a half behind. Barron looking to the inside of Teo.
And Jacques Villeneuve where he wanted to be. He's in the top 10. He's actually running 9, looking strong, trying to pass DeFerran.
Still can't get it done.
See the twitch on the front as he turned in there. That means the car may get away at any second. That tells the driver that's the limit. Don't go any further.
So for the young Canadian, it must be a frustrating day. He knows he can wrap up the championship. He knows because of that he has to be careful. But as a driver, he also knows you can be too careful.
And he also knows that Frank Williams watches every move he makes, and Frank Williams likes him and has already put his contract in his back pocket, so he's happy.
Yeah, so no worries. Teo Fabi. And Al Unser Jr. now working up through the field trying to get Tracy.
4th and 5th. Al Jr. likes the high side. He sets him up on the high side. Vibration from the rear wing of Paul Tracy's car. This car that Paul Tracy's in has had so much understeer here all weekend. They tried a new aerodynamic tweak. They wouldn't tell me exactly what it was. They just said it did not work. They're on suspension number 5 on the front of this car, trying to get rid of some of the understeer that causes these drivers to have to come off the power and just go slower than they can go.
Here's the running order after 64 laps. The real key is that number 1 position, Michael Andretti, because if he stays there, he's going to delay, if not ruin, any championship that Jacques Villeneuve has in mind. Because it closes him into such a position that the championship would go on at least to the next race at Vancouver. All 3 previous winners here at New Hampshire have gone on to win the championship in the same year. Ray Hall in 92, Mansell in 93, Unser Jr. last year.
Look at this side by side with Ray Hall. 1.5 laps. Ray Hall we thought was moving down to the inside. Made Junior work so hard to go around the outside. They have confidence in each other. They don't mind being side by side. It takes a full lap and a half to finally pull it off. You might wonder why someone like Ray Hall just doesn't seem to be fast. If you have a push, you come off the power, you have no option but to let other people pass you.
So Michael Andretti is the leader, but Andrew Ribeiro is closing in, and Jimmy Vasser runs in 3rd.
Eurosport Live.
65 laps gone here in New Hampshire, and as you watch, Jacques Villeneuve makes a move on Gilles de Ferran, and that is 8th place now for Jacques Villeneuve, up to 8th position, and Gilles de Ferran back to 9th. The running order at the moment, Michael Andretti leads, but by less than a second from Andre Ribeiro, who's having a terrific race with the Honda engine. Then 3rd, it's Jimmy Vasser. 4th, Paul Tracy. 5th, Unser. 6th, Christian Fittipaldi. 7th, Teo Fabi. And then 8th, 9th and 10th, DeFerran, Villeneuve and Robbie Gordon. Down in 15th is Bobby Rahal. So,
on. So you heard what Derek Walker said there. Get back in your rhythm. That was Gordon, back to Derek Walker.
Got Michael coming up behind you. He's about slot 4. Michael behind you.
So Robbie's complaining he's
I think
loose.
everybody else is too. Just everybody's caught up in traffic. Just hang in there. Don't give up an inch.
I'm going a lap down. I'm going a lap down because I'm so loose, he says.
He tried something the rear bar. Tried the weight jacker.
Listening to Robbie Gordon as Derek Walker gives him some options.
Got Michael on your tail.
Michael's going to fly by him here. This is going to be no trouble.
Interesting that there goes Michael. You're right. Frustration of a driver.
Derek mentioned a weight jacker. Robbie Gordon inside the cockpit can jack weight onto the left front wheel, which actually makes the back more stable. Gordon says he's trying everything. Look at this. Look how easily Ribeiro just flies down the inside.
But interesting the way the two-way radios pay off, because it seemed obvious that Robbie hadn't tried that to its fullest extent until Derek reminded him.
Sometimes you get so busy trying to hang on and save your life and keep the car off the wall, you don't have time to remember everything.
Keeping an eye on Paul Tracy. Jacques Villeneuve now runs in 9th place. Jan Vigas.
Well, if you're wondering why he's so much more racy than he was earlier, he was another one of those guys just like Robbie Gordon that went loose. So when he made his pit stop, Barry Green says they took a ton of front wing out of it. He's much happier with the handling of that car now.
pits. But Teo Fabi, who has been having some problems, has headed for the pits early. Jan Vikas is right there.
Paul, he's bringing it in because the car is very, very loose. So they're going to change the 4 tires, try and change the stagger on the car, and we're watching carefully. I'm surprised they're not going to change the front wings. No change on the front wings, just tires and fuel for Teo Fabi. Hopefully just the stagger will be a big enough change. Somehow I don't think so.
Back up front, Michael Andretti still being pursued by Ribeiro. Paul Tracy now 3rd place. He moved around Vassar. Plenty of traffic now lies ahead. And again here, Derek Daly, what you suggested at starting. Aggression is a key, but who's going to have more of it in this battle?
Well, it will be a proverbial traffic jam in about 1 more lap because Fittipaldi, Tefera, and Villeneuve are all in their own private battle, so they will not want to back off too much despite the leaders being right behind them. Ribeiro's the man that's in uncharted territory here. He's learning on a huge learning curve today.
Emerson Fittipaldi, 9th place, about to be lapped as the leaders come up on him. But the real battle is right here.
See Ribeiro change his line there. He went out.
Oh, look at that! Boy, right under braking, Ribeiro almost had him, but then he gets caught up behind Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi lets Michael down to the inside. Now Ribeiro's caught up behind him. Ribeiro has to look for room, and Michael gets away.
I don't know what that felt like in the cockpit, but that looked downright dangerous from where we are here. We're a long way away, but Ribeiro tried to make a move around the outside and almost got himself in deep trouble. Here he goes again.
Ribeiro now comes up on the right rear, then looks to the inside. From excitement to terror to excitement, less than 20 seconds.
He is so confident right now. The key is do not let the confidence override the power of the vehicle. Do not think this car can do more than it can do. Michael is so difficult to pass in a situation like this.
And Michael knows the traffic.
Well, Michael knows all you need to know on an oval track like this, but Ribeiro is in a faster car right now.
Clear of that first bit of traffic that they had to deal with, but look at Ribeiro. Ribeiro now moves to the outside, gets very, very high, and he can't get it done.
Oh, remember, this is 150 miles an hour off these corners, and they are inches apart. There he goes.
Ribeiro takes that line that he favors, ducks to the inside, takes the lead. At the same time, the black flag is going to come out for 3rd place, Paul Tracy. They're seeing some smoke on the car, and they want to take a look at it. So 3rd place will come out. Jimmy Vassar will come back to 3rd. What a pass, though, by Ribeiro.
What a move by Andre Ribeiro, the man who has so little experience in these conditions, leading races on an oval like this. What a great, spectacular afternoon he is having. He is brim full of confidence, and that car is brim full of speed.
Let's move back to Paul Tracy now and keep an eye on his car. See if we can figure out why they may be giving him the black flag. What might be the problem as we pass the halfway point now. And here is Tracy answering that black flag, heading down to the Newman Haas pits all the way down at the far end. And Gary Gerald's there to watch. Gary, you have any idea what they're looking for?
No, they know no more, or at least they've indicated no more than what we heard from the IndyCar officials, and that's the fact that there was some smoke there. And boy, Tracy's hot. He did not like the fact that he was called in. They're taking the usual precautions of changing the rubber. And no, at the back of the car, the official is pointing, saying no. And at the front of the car, Tracy wants to go, and official won't let him, won't move. Tracy gestures desperately, but he is not going to go anywhere, according to these officials. At the back of the car, pointing emphatically, saying something back there. We're at the front of the car. Now the crew runs back to look as well. Billy Camphausen comes in. He shakes his head, waves his hand.
No, you're not going anywhere.
It's over for Tracy. And boy, this team and this driver is not happy.
Well, let's stay with this, see exactly what it is. Ribeiro is still running in the lead. We'll track him running in traffic. They're going to take the cowling off. The team doesn't want to give up on this yet. There's Ribeiro as he comes up to lap Jack Villeneuve.
Look at this in the cockpit. Look, Billy Camphausen and Tracy literally were nose to nose as Tracy had thrown the steering wheel. He grabbed at the hand of Camphausen.
fraction. We yet do not know what the reason was to pull Tracy out. We should know in a few minutes. Paul Tracy absolutely livid, having had such a spectacular run all the way to third place with a car that he thought, and we thought, looked like was getting better as the race went on.
And they come down, they take a look still at the back end. And we're still looking to try and determine exactly what the problem was. Andre Ribeiro out in front, but this was what gave Andre the lead of the race. And boy, look at how fast he just stuffed it down the inside and took the lead. We'll be back.
Past the halfway mark now, 95 laps to go. The leader is Andre Ribeiro. Then it's Michael Andretti, Jimmy Vasser, Al Anser, Christian Fittipaldi, Gilles de Ferran and Jacques Villeneuve in 7th place. And look at Andre Ribeiro go. This Honda really has got some fantastic power and he's on Firestone tyres. How much difference that's making on the oval today, we don't know. But Andre Ribeiro driving a very impressive race. This is Paul Tracy in pit lane. He's out of the car. The car was black flagged. Paul Tracy black flagged out of 3rd position. We don't know why. We haven't been given any real information on it. The officials said they saw smoke coming from the back of the car. Paul Tracy obviously wasn't at all in agreement with that. They took the covers off, and the last thing we saw was the pit crew trying to discover what the problem was, but we can only assume it was some kind of oil leak on the Newman Haas Lola Ford. As we ride now with Michael Andretti, and look at this traffic. Woo. It's he who can get through the traffic quickest is going to win here today, and he who can have the best pit crew with him, they're going to be the people who cross the line first. And will it be Andre Ribeiro for his first ever win in the IndyCar Championship, or will Michael Andretti's experience pay off? Well, we'll find out in the next 50 minutes as we go back to Paul Page and Derek Daly.
Should be due for a pit stop any time now by the leader of the race, Andre Ribeiro. 69 laps since his last stop. Official reason now being given for Paul Tracy's being yanked out of 3rd with a black flag is an oil leak, Gary Gerald.
Well, here's Paul Tracy now, and he's had a chance to kind of collect his thoughts. They're now saying IndyCar is telling us an oil leak at the back of the car, but I know there was tremendous emotion, and you were very angry.
Well, I think it's a bogus call. They said, you know, they're saying we can't go back out and we can fix the problem, but they're saying they won't let us run. So I think that's a bogus call. It's eliminating us from the championship. I had a great race going. We need the points. It's right to the end of the year. I'm trying to move up into the top 3, and they won't let us return, which is disappointing.
And what were you telling Billy Camphausen, because you were almost literally nose to nose?
I said we got to get back out, and he says no way, we're not letting you back out. So I think it's a bogus maneuver on behalf of IndyCar to eliminate a guy when he's running in the top 3 position.
Are you worried about disciplinary action because of that altercation?
I could care less. You know, it's more important where we finish on the racetrack.
Thank you, Paul.
Angry. With some right to be. 3rd place. Well, there is safety still a concern.
Yeah, there is so much at stake here. Millions of dollars go into putting these cars on the racetrack, and when you run in the top 3, that is beginning to do your job as you want to do it. But there is an oil leak. Oil obviously was coming out onto the racetrack. I'm not quite sure why they can't fix it and maybe get back out again, but then we don't know exactly how serious it is.
And, you know, there is a little bit of a comparative issue. Why
drops of oil coming off the whole lower stanchion. So apparently there was a very pronounced spray. It's definitely a lot of fluid. It appears to be oil, and there's no question it was significant, at least in my opinion.
Well, Gary, while you're talking, we're watching Jack Villeneuve as he really is carving his way up. Just came up alongside and around Michael.
That was not for position. Not for position. Yes, he's back on the same lap now as Michael, but you can see Michael beginning to struggle. We can only presume his car has gone loose. The rear does not have enough grip. That is a problem here. These cars tend to go loose the more these races go on here on the Magic Mile in New Hampshire.
Back 11 seconds in front now. Still Andre Ribeiro, and should be heading to the pits anytime now. Right here, Andre Ribeiro is going to make his turn in. Will Michael Andretti turn in behind him? They're both 79 laps since their last stop. So here is Ribeiro, and Jan Vigas is watching.
Andre Ribeiro brings it to a stop. You saw the front brakes lock up there just briefly. Andre Ribeiro is happy with the handling of the car, but is having a few problems with the brakes. Maybe that's why we saw that one move when he had Michael, and he went way high. So right now, they're just planning on changing the tires. There, all the fuel is in. Andre Ribeiro, nice job for him. We'll have to see if he hangs on to the lead, Paul.
So Ribeiro
So it's Andre Ribeiro who leads now by half a lap from Michael Andretti. This a really impressive performance from the Tasman Motorsports team and the Reynard Honda. Andre Ribeiro, the Brazilian, coming up from the Indy Lights Championship. His first year in IndyCar racing. There he goes, half a lap lead over Michael Andretti. In third place is Al Unser in the Penske. Then it's Jimmy Vasser, and then it's Jacques Villeneuve. Jacques Villeneuve now running in fifth position, and that is all he needs to do. A lot of his championship competitors have either dropped out or dropped at least to the back of the field. So, and sixth place is Maurizio Gugelmin. So Gugelmin rounding out the top six, and everybody apart from Ribeiro and Andretti are one lap behind, I remind you. And Ribeiro and Andretti, the two leading cars, are the only cars on the lead lap. And both Ribeiro and Andretti have been into the pits, but the next four drivers have not. So things are looking good for Jacques Villeneuve for the championship. No problems so far. And you can never discount, of course, that Penske driven by Unser in third place, although it does look now very much as though, barring mechanical failure, this race is going to be between Ribeiro and Andretti. And who would have thought at the beginning of the year that Andre Ribeiro would be leading on the oval by half a lap from a man of the experience of Michael Andretti? And this says an awful lot about him, but it also says a great deal about the Honda engine and the Firestone tyres. It really looks as though now, as we come towards the end of the season, this may well be the combination to have. A Reynard with a Honda with Firestones. Certainly Andretti must be thinking.
Andre Ribeiro, the leader of the race by 11.3 seconds over Michael Andretti. Al Unser Jr. is third, then Jimmy Vasser, then Jacques Villeneuve. In sixth now is Emerson Fittipaldi, then Christian Fittipaldi, Gilles de Ferran, Teo Fabi, and Robbie Gordon. Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
In 7 of the last 8 races, Adrian Fernandez with a top 10 finisher. Today it lasted less than a lap. First of all, you appear to be all right. Is that the case?
Yeah, we're fine. We're really, disappointed about what happened. We don't know exactly what happened. I just lost it. Coming out was really slow, and I just put the power and the car snapped over soon. It's different from the accident I have in practice, but it's a shame for the guys. The Gallus team, he's been doing a great job, and my sponsors, they got the quicker state, but it's sometimes things happen, and we just have to learn to live with this. I mean, it's not a good weekend for us. We just have to forget about it.
Thanks so much, Adrian. Glad you're all right.
Thank you.
Boy, and while they were talking, you got an idea of why, as a leader, you can be sailing along, have all the speed, all the handling. Did you see him lock that front?
That was a bit too close for comfort. If Steve Horn sees this on the monitor, he will tell Ribeiro, back off a little bit. Watch this, down inside the Ferran. Watch the front wheels.
Michael
Eurosport Live.
So the top 10 with less than 50 laps to go is Andre Ribeiro, Michael Andretti, Al Unser, Jimmy Vasser, Jacques Villeneuve, Emerson Fittipaldi, Gilles de Ferran, Christian Fittipaldi, Teo Fabi and Robbie Gordon. That's the top 10 with 47 laps to go, and the race so far has been a story of Honda power and a story of pit work. Absolutely first-rate pit work from Tasman and from Newman Haas and from Team Green. So that's the story of this afternoon at Loudon in New Hampshire. Can Honda win? Can Ribeiro make it? Well, we'll know extremely soon. And also the other question looks as though it's going to be answered. Who'll be the IndyCar champion this year? Well, if things stay as they are, it will be Jacques Villeneuve. But as we know, ifs and buts are a waste of time in motor racing, so let's just wait and see what happens at the end of the race as we watch Jimmy Vasser, another man who's gone really well this afternoon, and look out for him next season. Back now to Paul Page at the Oval.
But the record here is Bobby Rahal, set back in 1992 at 133.6, so at 129, we're beginning to close in on it.
On board with Gordon, we watched out the window 2 laps earlier when Vasser got himself into all sorts of trouble on the way to turn 3, went right up beside the wall, backed off, lost several positions, not from cars who were passing him for position, but from lap cars. Now he gathers it up again.
You get up into the gray, you pick up all of that loose rubber that's come off tires through the preceding laps. Drivers in the drivers meeting yesterday, several of them, including Robbie Gordon, Paul Tracy, very concerned about that because with the tire battle between Goodyear and Firestone, compounds have gotten softer, tires throw more debris up and you get off the line, it costs you. That was the problem for Jimmy Vasser just moments ago. He got in the gray, he picked up a lot of excess rubber, having a hard time scraping it off. It's impacted the handling of the car.
Jimmy Vasser, car 12's fallen back to 6th now. Guzman just ahead of him, but Guzman, of course, running down in 14th, one of the lap cars. Right behind Vasser is Gordon. Emerson Fittipaldi, there he is, Jan Beekes.
Well, we checked with the Penske crew, and it turns out that Emerson Fittipaldi's race setup has been just about perfect. They haven't changed the car all day, and right now the Penske team is trying to get up from one lap down. They're actually radioing to Al Unser Jr., giving him intervals, and they're going to try very, very hard here in the closing stages to catch Andrew
about that. As you know, Barry Green, Kim Green, Tony Sicali, the entire crew down here, they are so good at staying focused and keeping their driver and team members focused. That's what they're doing right now. He says that Jack is telling him that the car is good. It's not great. It's very, very slippery out there, and the slightest miscue that gets you off the primary groove can be disastrous. But as far as fuel and everything else, they're right on target. They like the way they've been moving consistently up. I think they'd be delighted. Well, we know they'd be delighted if they could get this thing over right now with 2 races to go, but they just don't really want to talk about that particular aspect. They're just trying to do the best job they can at the moment in these remaining 32 laps.
Well, the possibility seems very real at the moment. Andre Ribeiro, Michael Andretti, 2 cars on the lead lap. Andretti 12 seconds back, trying to close on Andre Ribeiro. Fuel may help decide this race.
Play with Eurosport. Eurosport Live.
Just 26 laps to go on the oval at Loudon in New Hampshire, and this is such a crucial part of the race. A tiny, tiny mistake at this stage and the whole thing is over. Can Ribeiro do it? He's very inexperienced, but he's got the best car out there today. And to remind you, the top 6, Ribeiro, Michael Andretti, Al Unser, Jacques Villeneuve in 4th place and looking good for the title. Emerson Fittipaldi 5th, Jimmy Vasser in 6th place. That's the order with 25 laps to go. And don't forget, there's only 2 more rounds of this championship, and Villeneuve looks as though he could wrap the title up this afternoon at New Hampshire. And Williams Grand Prix Engineering could have the IndyCar champion with them for 96. We shall see. There he goes. That's the leader, Ribeiro, in the Reynard Honda with the Firestone tyres. And if you're watching guys at PSR or Fortec, where Andre used to drive in Formula 3, this must be a very thrilling race for you. Who would have imagined that the guy who drove those races in F3 over here in 92 and 93, Paul Stewart racing in 92 and Fortec in 93, would be leading an oval in New Hampshire with Michael Andretti now nearly 20 seconds behind him. And don't forget that Villeneuve, Fittipaldi and Vasser are all 1 lap behind, so they're not even on the lead lap. Anyway, lots of time to go. If you're driving that leading car, he must be listening to every single sound it makes, and he'll need absolute concentration now because it's slippery. Anywhere out of the groove, it's very, very slippery. If he gets out of the groove and up onto the grey, then he could be in real trouble. But so far, things are looking very good for this young man. Started racing 10 years ago, 1985, in Brazil. Now has a home in Florida, but still spends a lot of time in Brazil. Yet another Brazilian driver doing well in America. And Emerson Fittipaldi up there too. What a fantastic guy he is after all these years
Back keeping an eye on Andre Ribeiro. We just ran a check of everybody up and down the pits. And the key players at the front, Andre, Michael, well, they don't seem to have any problem whatsoever with fuel. Not so sure the same situation is true at Penske Racing. Al Unser Jr. runs in 3rd place right now. He's 57 laps since his last stop. And Jacques Villeneuve now sits in 4th place. And one factor that is going to affect the overall outcome of a championship and a possible wrap of it here today, as we suggested at the starting of the show, is where that appeal with Al Unser Jr. over his win in Portland. Remember, he was disqualified and the win given to Jimmy Vasser. Well, if Al wins that appeal, then he'll come out of this race only 34 points behind Jack. And so the championship not yet determined. And that's based on little Al's position right now. So the championship can go on, and the appeal, well, it'll be some time yet before it will be heard. They're still putting the panel of 3 appeals judges together. To go for the Brazilian. Studied law for a while. Andre Ribeiro. Honda Power, Firestone tires. Tasman looking for their first victory.
3 championship with limited success. But he came up through the Indy Light Series. That's a good shot of his team manager, team owner Steve Horn on the radio to his young rookie who is learning so much this afternoon, leading this race in style. The only thing he came here with was the Rookie of the Year honors from last year. What a superb job he's showing today.
You got a view of him at the start. The senior senator from Indiana, Dick Lugar, former mayor of Indianapolis, big racing fan, got to do something I've always wanted to do, watch from a starting stand at the start of the race. He's joined us up in the booth, watching up here as we continue to watch Andre Ribeiro and Michael Andretti, as Michael's still trying to reel him in, but it's not happening.
Lap for lap as they get into traffic, Ribeiro goes faster, then Michael will match the speed, then suddenly Ribeiro pulls away again. But at the moment, we can only presume that Ribeiro is beginning to take things easy. We saw him shoot round the outside of Michael earlier in a very dangerous looking move, got away with it. We saw him lock his brakes inside Gugelmin, he got away with that. Sometimes you don't always get away with it 3 times. So he just needs to take things easy because he has all the tools this afternoon to win this New England 200.
Nothing changes down through the order, though Fittipaldi is now beginning to close in a bit on Villeneuve. There you see Fittipaldi as the leader starting to close in. Fittipaldi just ahead of him, and the blue and white car of Villeneuve just ahead of that.
The only thing that could change things, Paul, is a yellow flag. That would give Michael another opportunity, possibly to pounce. However, the traffic would not help him then, because the leaders, we presume, would be at the head of the field. One impressive thing, Paul, was how this Firestone car could duck down to the inside and get grip on that low line and speed, as opposed to his opposition.
Oh, the pass he made on Michael, that was spectacular when he just darted to the inside. You wouldn't think the car would stick under those kind of lateral G-forces. Boy, it sure did.
Started first, currently first. What a piece of videotape that will be when he gets to look at this race. We, of course, thought that Firestone must be under pressure to win here. Al Spire, their racing team manager, will tell you no. They set a disciplined, conservative program for this season, and they have outshone their expectations. And the results that they got at Michigan, and they almost won the Indy 500. Now they're in command here. That is further down the road than they ever expected to be at this stage of their return season.
And Ribeiro now running at a record pace. The record pace, 133.6, set by Ray Hall. And now Ribeiro with 8 laps to go at 134.085. 22 of the 26 starters still running, Jan Beekes.
Checking in with Al Unser Jr., of course, this has huge championship implications. Al Unser Jr. in his Penske machine feels as though they're very, very tight on fuel. Originally, he was trying to chase down Andre Ribeiro to get the lap back. Now, he's really slowed off the pace, just trying to conserve fuel. Now, if anything happens, of course, that throws a whole wrench into the championship scenario.
A concern to all of us here today, normally in the booth, our scorer throughout all of these IndyCar races is Fran Leonard. He's rushed out of the track here yesterday. His son Chad, who is quite an avid and successful go-kart racer, was injured in an accident yesterday in Michigan, in the hospital intensive care unit. We have a more promising report now that he's improving, but our best wishes and prayers go out for Chad. 6 to go. Ribeiro leads. Michael's closed a little bit, now 14.2 seconds. Michael closing, Ribeiro taking it easy. What do you think?
Ribeiro controlling the race. I still believe, from what we can see in the lines he can take, he has the power and the speed to challenge, even if Michael manages to get close enough. He is still almost half a lap behind Andre Ribeiro, and the traffic at the moment is beginning to fall Ribeiro's way.
Michael on the backside. 4 to go.
Notice the distinctive front wing on this Lola. They have tried 3 different front wings, 3 different rear wings on this car, trying to get the understeer, which is very prevalent during qualifying in particular, out of this
get it cleaned in time. Marco Greco down on the inside. Now Steve Horn talks to Ribeiro as the white flag will come out, so that won't change anything. Ribeiro will see the white flag, and unfortunately, he'll see the checkered flag under yellow. His first win will come under a yellow, but still a well-deserved victory. As Ribeiro now taking a look at the white flag as he gets through the accident zone and down the front stretch.
There are 2 cars involved. Buddy Lazier is one of them. He made hard contact with the outside wall. That's in Dale Coyne's car. There is also one of the Pac West cars involved in that, I believe. Is it Gugelmin?
Now Gugelmin appears to be in the line, as does Fangio. Greco is the one that we thought. There's the checkered flag. Checkered flag for Andre Ribeiro, for Honda, for Tasman. Great victory here today, right from the pole. Ribeiro takes the victory as the yellow comes out on the final lap. And Andre Ribeiro has taken the victory. Oh, what a nice win. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Steve and Christine Horn, I know the emotion must be huge at this moment. What are the feelings?
Well, we've had a couple of get away from us this year at Indy and at Michigan, and I think this is a great credit to Andre. Drove a fantastic job, and I just got to say a very special thanks to Honda in particular and to Firestone for giving us a product. Guys on the team never gave up.
So many people were skeptical. They said a rookie had no chance on a bull ring like this to win. Did you give him much of a chance?
I gave him a lot of chance because he did a great job in lights, and this is the next step for him, and this is great.
Well, get out there and enjoy it. They'll come off the wall, and we'll head with the crew as we get down there to get a word with Andre Ribeiro.
Do you think, Paul, he knows where Victory Circle is?
I think we'll have plenty of people down there to point him to it. And boy, is he a happy guy, too. This will be a popular victory, too. He's so well-spoken, enjoys life, enjoys racing so much. Yeah, Buddy Lazier, he's out of the car. He's obviously okay. We'll check on Marco Greco, too, down on the inside. He looked to be all right.
Look at this. I love to see this celebrations when a rookie driver gets to take his first win in unusual circumstances, because it really was the unexpected, but that gives Firestone 2 wins in the last 3 races.
Third win from the pole this year. Gordon, Detroit, Villeneuve at Elkhart Lake. Let's go to Gary.
Well, it's chaos, as you might well expect. We're trying to get, here's Andre right here. He sits down on the side pod. Christine Horn has just gotten here. And we'll try to get that helmet off. And we'll hear the first words that come out of this young Brazilian's mouth. I don't know. I think it might be a howl or a scream of delight or something, but Andre, he gets the breathe-right strip off the nose, the earplugs. What's the emotion of this moment, young man? So many people said there's no way a rookie can win at this racetrack. You've just done it, and you've done it convincingly.
Well, I can't believe this is the greatest moment in my life. It's incredible. It's incredible.
What were your concerns when this day started? What were you trying to remember as the key that might get you to this moment?
To be patient, very, very, very patient. I was talking with Steve Horn all the time on the radio. They were keeping me cool, but I tell you, the last laps were difficult. It's great, great.
How tough was it with the last lap when you saw the yellow? There was an incident there. Was that the realization then, this thing is won? You knew that it was only a lap or 2 to go?
Well, I really tried to wait for the last lap, really the checkered flag, because I knew the race only would finish on the checkered flag, but it's an incredible moment. It's great.
He's got the Brazilian flag in his hand. He wipes away the tears. He displays it. We now have 9 different winners this season, Paul.
So Andre Ribeiro takes the victory here over Michael Andretti. The championship still goes on while we wait the results of an appeal and, of course, the actions of Al Unser Jr. on the race course. There's still plenty to talk about here in the New England 200, but congratulations. There's the unofficial results. Andre Ribeiro on his first win.
Well, how about that? The familiar tones of an English-speaking Brazilian winning a motor race and winning one in America. A fantastic result for Steve Horn and a tremendous result for Andre Ribeiro, not to mention Honda, Reynard and Firestone. That's a great result for the Indy Championship, and not too bad for the series leader Jacques Villeneuve. He finished 4th. But we do not know yet whether that makes him the champion. Why? Because we don't know the result of the appeal that Penske have made following that disqualification at Portland. Going back 3 or 4 races now, if you remember, Al Unser won the race, but was disqualified afterwards. The car was found to be illegal, or it was alleged anyway to be illegal, and Jimmy Vasser took the win. So Penske have appealed, and until we know the result of that Penske appeal, we do not know whether this 4th place at Loudon in New Hampshire gives Jacques Villeneuve the championship. And look at these Brazilian flags, they are absolutely over the moon, and so they should be. It's a great result. We've had 9 different winners in IndyCar this year, and that's good motor racing. We've had a lot of very exciting races. We've got 2 more to go. There's plenty of overtaking, there's lots of intrigue, and I don't know about you, but these oval races make me suck my teeth. It's absolutely incredibly exciting stuff. And here's Michael Andretti in second place.
Where did Andretti have the speed on you? Was it the tires? Was it the Honda power plant? Where do you think he pulled out the distance?
I think he had. I think Firestone did a pretty good job this weekend with their tire, and he had a lot of grip, especially in traffic. And you know, my car was quite good actually. I was pretty happy with it, but you know, that was the difference, I think.
Now tell us about the championship. This pretty much eliminates you from a championship hunt to go to the front with Jacques finishing 4th, but still some good exciting racing to come.
Oh yeah, no question about it. I mean, we'll just try to finish on a high note and get him next year. You know, we still want to go after 2nd place, and you know, that's still gettable.
We enjoyed watching you today. Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, here's Al Unser Jr. from 17th to finish 3rd. That itself is pretty remarkable around this place. But the thing that we want to ask you about is your impressions that relate to the championship, because the appeal leaves everything up in the air. If you win that appeal, you're still mathematically alive.
Yeah, we just, you know, we just don't know. It's something that I just want to congratulate Ribeiro. He did a great job all day long, and you know, the Honda ran great for him, but my whole Marlboro team, Penske, did a super job. My guys, they got me in and out of the pits so quick. We passed like about 5 or 6 guys on that first stop, and so you know, without them, it was really great. And I just, you know, want to say hi to Al, Cody, and Shannon at home, and we'll be home later on.
As you congratulate Andre Ribeiro, did you think coming into this weekend that a rookie could win a race in this bull ring?
Well, I tell you what, the PPG IndyCar World Series is so competitive this year that just about any of the top 15 can win the race, and so a rookie here, you know, you kind of think not, but their whole team did a great job, and they deserve the win.
And you did a great job coming from 17th. Congratulations on this 3rd place finish.
Thanks, Gary.
Paul?
Al Unser, the man who never ever forgets to mention his sponsors. A true professional, Al Unser Jr., like all the Unsers, a motor racing dynasty. Lots and lots of Brazilians here to watch. A tremendous victory from Andre Ribeiro. And to remind you just again of the top 6, Andretti was 2nd, 15 seconds behind in the Newman-Haas Lola Ford. Then it was Al Unser in the Penske Mercedes. 4th place for Jacques Villeneuve. 5th for Emerson Fittipaldi, the great old man of motor racing. 6th, Jimmy Vasser. And Gilles de Ferran in 7th. Gilles de Ferran in the Reynard in 7th place. Then Christian Fittipaldi 8th. Robbie Gordon, very disappointing for him, 9th. And 10th, Bobby Rahal. So that's the top 10 today at Loudon in New Hampshire. 2 races to go. Vancouver next on the 3rd of September. And how Jacques Villeneuve would love to win that one. And finally, Laguna Seca. What a great racetrack that is. I love racing at Laguna Seca. That's on the 10th of September before the last round of the championship. Next tonight, don't forget, we've got the German Touring Car Championship with Mark Cole on Eurosport, so more motor racing still to come. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people back home tonight who will be very pleased for Andre Ribeiro, especially all the guys at Paul Stewart and at Fortec, and there'll be a lot of people watching who'll be very pleased for Jacques Villeneuve too, because it looks very much as though he has wrapped up that championship, really. Okay, Penske may win the appeal, and that will give Al Jr. a chance, and it really is only a chance of the championship, because he's still 34 points behind Villeneuve. But that'll give us just a little bit of added excitement for the last two rounds. So it really was then today a story of tyres, a story of engines. The Honda engine really is coming on strong now towards the end of this season. Firestone have won 2 of the last 3 races. Penske have had a slight return to form, not the sort of form they'd want though. Penske don't like coming 3rd or 2nd. Penske want to win motor races, so they've got a lot of work to do to rethink their car over the winter for next year. Emerson Fittipaldi, he'll be pleased with 5th. I think he's had a lot of very disappointing results just lately. And Jimmy Vasser, very much one of the coming men in IndyCar, rounding out the top 6. But it was, as we said at the beginning of the race, a lot to do with traffic and pit work as well. Ribeiro was tremendous in the traffic. He had that power. He was so confident in the car. And we're going to look back now just briefly on the highlights of this 200-miler. And it seems a long time ago now, but anyway, Teo Fadi got away in the lead. Ribeiro settling for 2nd. He said earlier on in that interview he was going to be patient, very patient. Adrian Fernandez, the Mexican, got away from him coming out of turn 2. Made a mistake. Cold tyres, don't forget, just after the start. He hit the wall, a mighty whack, and heaven knows how everybody else avoided him. This is from the onboard camera. Woof. The back just came round on him. That was a hefty blow against the wall, but he's perfectly okay afterwards. We saw him talking to Gary Gerald earlier on. A disappointing day for Robbie Gordon, and this was a big one for Scott Pruitt. Scott Pruitt here passing Robbie Gordon, and he was later to have a pretty hefty shunt. But this was Robbie Gordon going backwards in the race, and it was such an important race for him as far as the championship was concerned. And that was Scott Pruitt losing it right in front of Michael Andretti. Must have given Andretti a pretty nasty quarter of a second. Pruitt, by the way, was taken to the medical centre. Very badly shaken, but he's perfectly okay. We're here now. And this is the amazing Andre Ribeiro going down the inside of Paul Tracy. He was later black flagged, and that was for an oil leak. The mechanics discovered a lot of oil underneath the rear wing and around the engine cover, and IndyCar officials said they could not continue. Paul Tracy not at all happy about that. He gets a bit hot under the collar. And this is that black flag pit stop. And Paul Tracy not at all happy at this point, talking to the IndyCar officials. And there's the man of the year, the man of the moment, Jacques Villeneuve, number 27, of course, coming to Formula One with Williams next season. Can't wait to see that myself. Should be very interesting to see how he goes once he's got used to the whole feel and style and technology of Formula One motor racing. And here's the victory under yellow flags, because Buddy Lazier and Marco Greco had it coming together right at just 2 laps from the finish. But I'm sure that Ribeiro and Steve Horn won't mind taking that victory under a yellow flag. No problem. They wanted to win the race. They had pole position, and they did an absolutely perfect job. So lots of winners, lots of different winners this year. It could not have been more exciting. It really could not have been more exciting. And I don't think anybody would have expected Penske to be so disappointing for so long this season. And it's certainly been a tremendous year for Ford. It looks as though Ford could take the Engine Manufacturers Championship. There's the championship. 168 for Villeneuve and 114 for Bobby Rahal. But look, Al Unser Jr. on 111 points. I really don't see how he's going to get this. It's a virtual impossibility, I would have thought. Even if he wins that appeal, he's got to be absolutely dominant in the last 2 races. And if Penske's form's anything to go by this year, that just isn't going to happen. But well, when you've been around motor racing a long time, and when you've watched a lot of motor racing, you know anything can happen. So let's wait and see. But it's a shame that that appeal really hasn't been sorted out a bit earlier. And they'll be waving those Brazilian flags long into the night in New England tonight. A great place to be, New England, especially at this time of year. A beautiful part of America. And there'll be lots of good parties, I bet, after the race here at the Oval at Loudon. And there's Al Unser, just preparing himself now for the podium celebrations. They take a bit of time, compared to Formula One, they take a lot more time to get up onto the podium and stand together, the top 3. But it's great the way they talk as soon as they get out of the car. They're all hot and breathless and excited, and that makes for very good interviews. And especially we've seen a lot of that this year on the Eurosport coverage. the access to IndyCar racing for the TV stations is absolutely 110%. That's the Nations Cup. Well, America are going to win that one, I would have thought, although Jacques Villeneuve is doing his absolute best to get Canada up into the #1 slot, and of course he doesn't have a hell of a lot of people to help him do that. But there's 60 points clear for the United States at the moment, and there's every chance they're going to win that one. There are 3 championships on the go, by the way. There's the Nations Cup, there's the drivers, and there's the engines as well. And Ford, generally speaking, have had really the best of that this year. Mercedes have been with Penske, of course, and that's been a disappointing season. Reynard really seems to have been the chassis to have this year. It's been a tremendous year for Reynard. Whether they use a Ford engine or a Honda engine, Reynard has been the car to have for most of this season, and I wonder what's going to happen next year. Will Firestone really be winning everything? Will Honda be winning everything? We just don't know. So 2 more races to go. I hope you'll join us on Eurosport. 3rd of September in Vancouver, the 10th of September at the wonderful Laguna Seca Raceway, and German touring cars are next on Eurosport. This has been Rob Widows with you. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and I look forward to the next round and seeing you then. Good night.
IndyCar was brought to you on Eurosport by Firestone and Valvoline.